I realized I better have my backup on because we know how this internet be getting. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I want to play music. I was just going, Y'all know the music. Y'all know that song. You know that. You know that. Ain't that the Jackson? Dancing. Good morning. I am Jackie Glass, Delegate Jackie Glass, Mama, Navy vet, certified doer, and the laced up legislator for the House of Delegates, 93rd District. Guten Morgen. Good morning. Good to you. Look at you up. Look at Dancy Lisa just joined up and at it. We doing it today. We doing it today. Y'all got a good, I think I got some good stuff. Today we're going to learn some things. And what I've realized is there's a lot of words flying around in the news. And oftentimes I'm like, people are saying this stuff, but do we even know what it means? Do we even know what it means? So we're going to learn today about the word oligarchy, what it means, how it is, and then like what it means in context to what we got going on today. But I first want to make sure that I invite you this Saturday and don't let me tell no fibs. This Saturday is it's summer school for certified doers. Have you ever been? Has anybody ever been to summer school for certified doers? Have you? This thing. So summer school for the certified doers. I started this back in 2022 or 23 because I went to the legislature. I saw all the stuff that was happening. And I was like, why in the world did I not know this before I came here? Right? I'm like questioning what in the world and why. So cool. Listen, it's a treat. Okay. Everything that I thought I should have known as a citizen is what we roll through for summer school. So it's Saturday from 11 to 3:30. You can go to the link tree in my bio and register, or you could just show up. Maybe Saturday you decide like, let me just show up. But we demystify everything. So if you ever wanted to learn how stuff works and then how you fit in that process, I try to make it fun. I will be your lead instructor. Like I will be your lead instructor. So great opportunity. I'm hoping to see y'all there for summer school. Then I don't want y'all to forget this Saturday is summer school, but next Saturday is our another Hey Neighbor event from 9 to 12. 9 to 12, we're doing it at Shoe Park. Let me tell you, we are doing a sing-along, a community sing-along. And I need y'all to tell me what y'all think is going to be the best what's the best music for the sing-along. That's what we need to know. I still haven't figured that out. My team is like, Jackie, don't come in here with no weak stuff. You need to figure it out. So I'm going to ask the community. I'm going to post that today. Okay, I'm going to post that today because I think it is definitely worth the experience. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. I was trying to give some time for folks to hop on. It's one of them days. So good morning. All right, today we are going to unpack a word that you have probably heard. Like y'all probably heard the word oligarch a whole bunch. We're going to talk about who they are, why it matters, why you should even give a damn. And so hopefully by the end of today, you'll be an expert at sort of challenging, ready to kind of challenge some powerful interests in your own backyard. I want to ask a question to you all. When you hear the word oligarch, what comes to mind? What actually comes to your mind? What comes to mind? What are you thinking? You drop it in the chats. What comes to mind when you hear that word oligarch? What is it even? What response does it elicit? And it might be nothing, rich. Okay. Yep. For real. Yep. That for me, yeah. I think, powerful business people, tycoons. So let's start with the word itself. Oligarch, it's a Greek word. And the Greek word, I think it's oligoi archo, means rule by the few. So essentially rule by the few. It's a it's a contrast to like an aristocracy thinkers to the democracy, widespread voters. So Aristotle, y'all know who Aristotle is because they made us learn all of these different peoples when we were when we were kids. Aristotle, a philosopher, he warned about oligarchies when the wealthiest people concentrate powers, and that comes in different forms. That comes in a bunch of different forms. So one form is where when it's wealth based, it's called the plutocracy, and that's like the elite, and it's a elite elite networks of people, or a technocratic rule, and that's where the folks with the. So I need you to know, true or false? Do oligarchs need political office to rule? Do oligarchs need a political office to rule? And I'm asking y'all this: like, do you think that they need a political office to rule? That's the $1 million question here. Do we think that they need political office in order to rule what we're doing? Absolutely not. One and only Misha, right. Like, oligarchs, they don't have to be in political office in order to rule, right? Yep, that's false. So oligarchs, because of the way they work, y'all, because of the way oligarchs work, they often are the folks working behind the scenes. They are the billionaires. They are the corporate lobbyists. They are the dynasty families. Their power kind of lies only in their wealth, their influence, and their access to most times to the people with political power. And this is why you've been hearing that word thrown around the news, right? One and only Misha said they need people who are willing to do their bidding. You are absolutely right. So historically, right? Let's get to the historical context of this word, because we'll get to the way it is the U.S. and or oligarchy, or is it turning into one, right? So historically, for the brains here, in ancient Athens, before the birth of democracy, right? Before democracy even exists, as we know it today, oligarchic, I hope I'm saying that right, elites, they ran everything. They kept political power, political participation only for the privileged few, which is sound a little familiar, right? So fast forward today, and the oligarchs that we see within the world, Russia's oligarchs rose to power in the 90s by grabbing all of the state assets during privatization. Does that sound familiar? Privatizing everything, and only the wealthiest snatched them up. China's wealthy elites, what they did is they worked hand in hand with the actual Communist Party, right? So they're like brother, sister, father, mother. They work hand in hand. And then even in countries like the Philippines are run by entrenched with like dynasty families, right? So see how, good morning, it's a little, see how that works, right? See how they're within the government. Which of these examples do y'all feel is like most familiar or striking you? Drop it in the comments. Is it China? Is it Russia? Is it the Philippines? Like, privatization in Russia led to the oligarchs leave. The wealthy elites working with the political party for oligarch leave. And then the Philippines, just these families that are just dynasties running stuff. They're entrenched, right, with it. What do you think? Which one sounds familiar? Is it China, Russia, or Philippines? which one is striking a chord for you right now? Drop it in the chat. Which one is striking a chord? Bet I want to see what y'all think, because I have my opinions about which one is striking a chord. One and only Misha said Russia and China combined. I could see that, right? Dynasty families hand in hand with privatization. Yep, I could see that. I could definitely see that. So here is where I think it's a little bit of both. All three. I think a little bit of all three. But here's the big one. And again, we're hearing this on the news: oligarchy, ruled by the few, right? Is America an oligarchy or transitioning into one? that is the question we must answer. So think back to 2024. Political scientists Gillian and Page looked at there were some political scientists, and their names are Gillian and Page. They looked at nearly 2,000 policy decisions and found that the average citizen almost had no impact on policy outcomes. Zero. And I'm going to try to find that video. There's a video that talked about the influence and the power, but in their research, the average citizen had no impact. So if you, the average citizen has zero impact on policy outcome, then who does? Well, in that study, it was saying, and this is in 2014, y'all, this is in 2014. Meanwhile, the wealthy elite businesses interests, almost always got what they wanted. There's an organization called Represent Us. If you don't follow them on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you are, I suggest you follow them. They do really good explainers and are good news source. But Represent Us calls the plan. The U.S. calls it out completely plain that the U.S. functions like an oligarchy and has, right? And again, we explained oligarchy for those of you who all are new here, which means ruled by, it's essentially a word that means ruled by the few. It is when a small group of people disproportionately holds power in a country or an organization, right? It is not the same as a monarchy. It's not the same as a dictatorship. Oligarchies don't have to sit on a throne or hold an office. They just have to control the decisions that affect everyone else, right? Behind the scenes, we talked a little about that. So stack it up. The stats back it up. The top 1% control about 31% of the nation's wealth. And I'm sure you all have heard that. People at the top with the wealth, and the top 0.1%. Okay, that's 1 in 1,000. Their wealth is growing even faster, right? These are the people that are making decisions. So do you feel like our democracy is shaped by everyday people or the wealthy few? I'd love it to hear it in the chat. I'd love to hear that engagement from y'all. Do you feel like us, we are actually in charge? We are actually ruling here. We are actually the ones making decisions, or no? Good morning. Drop it in the tag. You can drop it with a thumbs up, a thumbs down, a frowning face, a happy face, whatever that looks like. Do you feel like everyday people? And to be fair, I'm going to be fair to this and say, I think it gets different. It's actually, I guess it isn't different. I was going to say down at the local level, depending where you are, depending on who's leading, it's different. But like, I'm thinking about the city I live in Norfolk, and we are having that thing where it's like the wealthy few have been deciding what the city looks like. And it makes so much sense. Sometimes I feel like sometimes I'm naive, right, about things. Okay, so yeah, and that's important. So one and only Misha says, nope, the wealthy few, I get it, right? This is, here is why I think we need to care, right? Here's why you and I need to care about this. When oligarchs dominate, policy starts working for them and not us. And so we need to think about when we're talking about like tax breaks for billionaires and not for working families, that is oligarchy at work. When we're talking about deregulation, favoring industries and not communities, that is a problem when the oligarchs rule. When you're talking about campaign finance systems flooded with billionaire money, post Citizen United, right? And I think I should do a day where we teach about Citizen United and why it was such a problem for politics and allowing super PACs as well. That just in the last month, when President Biden's farewell included a stark warning. I think in his farewell, he said something like the U.S. faces an oligarchic capture, and the tech industry makes that complex that it threatens democracy, makes it so complex that it threatens democracy itself. The tech industrial complex is threatening democracy itself. And that's real. That's real. And I think about how would you feel if policy outcomes only reflected the top 1%? Like, how would you feel? I think we already know how we feel, right? When, especially the aspect of not not sort of engaged or working for or with the community. That's tough. Jennifer Dalton says, I'd love to see it overturn Citizen United. Yeah, I think I need to spend some time at some point teaching about what Citizen United is and these sorts of things that are affecting the way that we do business, right? I'm with it. So here are some red flags, right? When we talk about an oligarchy, which some of us have said we're already there, here are some red flags. Concentrated wealth plus political influence. We've already seen that. Concentrated wealth plus political influence. Have we seen that somewhere? Think in your mind. Revolving doors, right? Elites moving between corporations and government. When they are able to just go, well, I'm the CEO of this place today, but I work in the government today. Red flag. Sound like a red flag? Anybody come to mind? Any specific person come to mind? Any specific person come to mind on that one? Yes. Okay. What about when political parties and organization are captured, right? Held hostage by donors or insiders. These are red flags. So even grassroots organizations sometimes succumb to what is called I think it's Michel's iron law of oligarchy. I hope I'm saying that right. Michel's iron law of oligarchy. And so that is, well, that all organizations, no matter how democratically they begin, tend to concentrate power at the top, period. Right? No matter how democratic they are. So one and only Misha, you said, how do we shine a light on this instead of pointing at various communities? By this, what do you mean? Like oligarchies, or like instead of pointing at the wealthy, the rich, the elite, and things like that? Or if you can be a little bit more clear, I'll try to be a little bit more clear. And hopefully we'll talk a little bit about where we go from here. So this is what we can do. And this is where we come in. Certified doers. This is where we come in. There are so many ways to fight back. Excuse me. One of the most attainable ways to fight back is campaign finance reform laws, right? When you start looking at how much money people are able to spend, how that looks in the government, that can change your representation. There are so many different types of campaign finance. We just in Virginia, if you're in Virginia, the way our campaign finance was set up is that it's like the Wild Wild West. As long as you report it, you can do whatever you want with it. Like it was like you can do whatever you want with your funding, with your money, right? And we think about, we had a local race that over $1 million. Crazy. So what are our campaign finance laws? Meaning who's allowed to spend, how much are they allowed to spend? You have publicly funded campaigns. And so if the money that is flowing to the decision makers is something that is important to you, campaign finance laws is a way to fight back against oligarchy. Second, demand lobbying transparency. Hold on. I see something here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Part of what you can do. I actually, let me see. Let me go back here a little bit. When I say demand campaign finance reports, I mean like changing the laws right now. Again, there's not a lot we can do. There's not a lot on the federal level because of how chaotic it is, but there are things at the state level. Someone in the chat mentioned that maybe we should do something on Citizens United. Why that decision in 2010 corporations, unions, PAC, the wealthiest individuals can spend unlimited amount of money in super PACs. This is that dark money group sort of with very little disclosure with how they do that. That's a piece of it. And then this is that very system. So if you're interested in campaign finance, this is the system that was created with the wealthiest donors, wealthiest entities. They exercise this outsized influence on candidates and elected officials. Okay, and so that rolls back into that conversation we just had of what is how do oligarchs come into power? What is the word, right? So now when you hear it on the TV, you hear it on the news, you know what it means. So I'm telling you, folks who are into the public, the campaign finance, you get your notes out, get your pen out right now. Okay. So one of the things you can do is advocate for public financing of campaigns. One, lowering contribution limits to reduce dependency on wealthy donors, requiring real-time disclosure of political donations and expenditures, right? Real time, like the system update. When you get one, you put it in. And then ending dark money loopholes that allow anonymous contributions influence in elections. And that's where I've seen people, they call it straw donning, where they give to someone and that someone gives to someone else. You can't fix it all, but that's one thing. So one and only, Misha, this is us going into. The second thing that you can do to fight back, right? Are we ready? The second thing, and then I'm going to go to the comments and we're going to wrap up here. The second thing that you can do is demand lobbying transparency. What is lobbying? Does anybody know what lobbying is? Tell me what lobbying is, actually. Oh, hey, Tiago. Hey. What is lobbying? Does anyone know what lobbying is? Good morning. All right. So I'll go into it because we don't have a whole lot of time. Lobbying is when individual or groups attempt to influence policymakers, perfectly legal, but often sort of hidden from public scrutiny. Lobbying is not all bad. Let me say this out loud. Lobbying is not all bad. The AARP has a lobbyist, right? If you love 4Kids the Shelter, they have a lobbyist. A lot of times they call them government relation folks, so it's not all bad. However, when wealthy industries spend billions in hiring lobbyists to shape legislation, regulation, and budgets, that's when it becomes a problem. I was just talking to folks in the meat industry the other day, and I was like, I don't understand why folks don't like this bill on labeling meat. Right? Label the meat what it is. I don't know why my people are fighting me on this bill. I don't know what the deal is. It doesn't pass. Help me understand. And she's like, well, it boils down to lobbyists, because you think about there was an instance where people were taking water, putting orange color in it, calling it orange juice or something like that. And there was a fight at the federal level. They had an arm of lobbyists and got these folks shut down. So like having the right people advocating for your issues matter, which is why you all come in hand. You are essentially lobbyists in your own way. The issue here is that lobbying itself, especially when we're up against oligarchy, when we're up against the wealthiest, lobbyists can distort policymaking efforts. They can favor industry, they can favor billionaires at the expense of public health or at the environment workers, etc. Much of lobbying happens in back room. Most Americans never know who's meeting with whom or what's being promised, right? The room where it happens. And so if you're into reforms and if you're just joining us, we are in the section of the Morning Dew where we're talking about what doers can do to get more done. So if lobbying sounds like a space where you're like, yes, I want to figure out how I can work in that space, then you can look at reforms like a full disclosure of lobbying activities, where they have to tell you who they're meeting with, topics discussed, and dollars spent. Yes, that's a thing. You can advocate for restrictions on what they call revolving doors. So former lawmakers can't immediately go into lobbying their colleagues, right? You hop out of being a delegate, and then automatically are now a lobbyist, right? So they have that, like for the military, not being able to immediately go into a government job. So there's those sorts of restrictions. And then 3, better reporting standards that allow public to track the influence at every level of government. Who is my mayor talking to? Who is my delegate talking to? Who is my senator? Who is my congressman? Who are these people talking to? How do we make that transparent so you know who we're meeting with and who we're not? Love it. So let me look at comments. One and only Misha says when groups come before legislators with things in their interest. Oh yeah, you were saying what a lobbyist. Absolutely, you're smart there. David James Black says, yeah, lobbyists controlling our cannabis retail sales bills is gross. Legislators should work for Virginians, not for out-of-state corporations. I do not disagree with that. Jennifer Dalton said more people need to understand industrial complexes. They feed each other. I know my lens is biased, but we are creating a more poverty, which will lead to further criminalization. I hear you. And Thiago, looks like this link explains most of what's wrong with politics. This blog. Yeah. Common sense ethics. So that's in the chat. All right, let's get to these. Let's get to the solutions, doers. Here we go. So another thing that you can do as a doer to butt up against the oligarchy, right? Advocate for wealth tax. This is something right now that I think should be extremely emergent because of the situation we're in at the state, especially with states, because we're in the situation where people are a lot of our tax dollars at the federal level are not going to do what we thought they typically did. And we're going to need more funding. I think a wealth tax is more than necessary. Might it drive people out of the state? Maybe. That's the worries that the wealthy people will leave. Okay. So a wealth tax is a person's net worth. So their total assets minus their liabilities rather than just their income. So not just what you take home, all of your assets and your liabilities. So the ultra wealthy, what they do is they accumulate wealth through appreciating assets. So tax, stocks, property, and art that can all go untaxed because income taxes only apply when assets are sold, right? Only when you make money off of it are they applied. So y'all out here paying these income taxes and they're accumulating assets and not getting taxed on them. And why this matters, because we know that the richest the richest 0.0% control an outside share of wealth and power, but they pay smaller taxes than everyday people. And so wealth tax are just a way to reduce that extreme inequality, funding our public schools, right? Education, healthcare, infrastructure, and sort of rebalancing some power here by having a wealth tax. That could look like what a doer like you can do. What it could look like for doers, it could be a modest wealth tax on billionaires, i.e. a 1% on assets above 50 million or 2 or 3% over on assets over $1 billion. Ending loopholes like it's called like step up bias, which lets heirs like people, their kids avoid capital gains tax, and also strengthening IRS resources to ensure wealthy people pay what they owe. Is difficult. The IRS piece is probably the most difficult right now, but those are 3 things you can do. One and only Misha said, how could you sell that? That could be tough. Yeah, it can be tough, but I think right now we are in a time where, like, I'm going to be back in session in September, y'all, because we're going to be trying to figure out how we're going to make this state budget work with all of the responsibilities that are now going to fall on the state because of what's happening at the federal government. That is real. And this is the time. This is the absolute time where we need to be considering. We should be considering wholeheartedly. We should be considering how we fund, who pays, who doesn't pay. But I'm willing to and ready to work on it. And I'm saying this, if you are a certified doer that has not come to summer school, please come to summer school. I break all of it down. We break it all down for you. I'm telling you, it's going to be great. I've got one more thing that doers can do to get up against the oligarchy, right? We explained what that is. If you weren't here, oligarchy, a society ruled by the few, typically wealthy elites, or my goodness, my brain just went or goodness, China, what are you dynasties, dynasty families, right? So This is where disproportionate power lies with the folks with the most money. All right. The last thing you do, number 4, these 4 things, right? The last thing you can do is get active in your community. Like that is for real. I 5 neighbors is stronger than 5,000 trolls. 5 neighbors getting together, knowing and understanding each other is so much bigger than 5,000 trolls. So local elections, town halls, watchdog leaders. Are you a watchdog leader in your community on a thing, whatever that is? So what that means for you doers is that even though oligarchs can influence, their influence, it looms large nationally, local action is where citizens actually can have the most immediate impact. Local elected officials, school boards, city councils, mayors, sheriffs directly affect policy on policing, on schools, on housing, and on service. This is why I asked last time we talked, have you considered running for office? Have you considered that that's a pathway? Yeah, have you considered it? All of this matters. This local action matters. It matters because oligarch influence, it trickles down. It trickles down locally too. And one and only Misha also said it. Yeah, it feels like it at the local level. Wealthy developers, industry lobbyists, and political machines. They try to shape the outcomes of cities, of counties, and of school districts. And local leaders are also more accessible than the national leaders. You can show up. That's what that means. You can ask questions. You can also hold them accountable, doers. And what I'd say some reforms look like, if there are not town halls, advocate. Attend town halls and ask the tough questions, but be respectful. But respectful questions about donor influence on your elected officials. Yes, your local elected officials too. Absolutely. I would start tracking local campaign donation, make them visible to your neighbors. If somebody's into that, look at who's getting, how are my elected officials, my local election officials being paid, right? Who funds their campaigns? Is it people's? Is it, who the heck is it? So getting to know that. Run for office. Help yourself, okay? Like, I don't mean like literally help yourself, but help yourself to the opportunity to run for office. Help organize community, or you can help organize community-led candidate slates, right? If the community says these are the people we running with, get out there and tell them. You could also build a civic watchdog group for local government decisions and contracts. This one is not a watchdog group, but Norfolk Currents. If y'all have seen this, I would go follow them on Instagram. It's NFK Currents, Norfolk Currents. They're like a little magazine. They put out what's on the agenda. They talk about what's happening civically. Like sometimes I've been there and be like, that was on the agenda for the city council. I didn't even know, right? So people like that, there are outlets, but are you also an outlet? Can you be an outlet where people can go to your social, or pass you in the grocery store and be like, yeah, what's happening with that? Right? You could be that person. Sarah says, we can all lobby, but how can we own what our leaderships are listening to? It seems like they're influenced by money and optics. What is the ethical and humane terms to loss and noise? Sessions like these are critical. Oh, thank you, Delegate Glass. Yeah. Don't quite know if it's questionnaire, so I'm sorry if I read that. I just want to make sure I get y'all on with y'all day. David James Glass says, we've got some good folks in Norfolk City Council now, already seeing positive changes. Yeah, and it could be better, right? And it could be better. And it could be better, right? So here's what I'm going to say to you all in closing. The thing is that oligarchs don't always look like kings. Right? Remember, we said oligarchy, the few don't always look like kings, but their power is just as dangerous to democracy. It is just as dangerous. This may sound lame and cliche, but knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, and action is better. And so together, I think that you and me, can push back to create a democracy. And I hate using the word democracy because let me be clear. We are a constitutional democratic republic. We have a constitution that allow us to make choices as democratic about who serves for us. Republic means that someone goes and represents you somewhere, right? We are a constitutional democratic republic, and it should work for all of us, not just a few. So I want you to, as we close out here, let me know in the comments if you could reform one thing today. One thing, if you could reform one thing today to reduce that oligarchic power, what would it be? Is it money in politics? Is it lobbying rules? Is it tax reform? I want to hear it in the script, and I'm not leaving here until I get some stuff. I'm not leaving. We talked about reforming campaign finance, demanding lobbying transparency, advocating for wealth tax, and getting active in your community. What are those things? What rises to the top to you? Drop it in the chat. I want to hear it. I want to see it. Education, Misha. Yep, education. Come on, doers. Let's get active. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Drop in the chat. If you could do one reform today, be specific about the form that fights up against the oligarchy power, right? What could you do? We're trying to ground. I'm not worried about kings. I'm worried about the people influencing them right now, right? I want practical, doable action. This is what we want. Practical, doable action. Practical and doable action. There is so much going on right now. I do not want you to feel overwhelmed like you got to do it all, because you can't. Because I can't. But collectively, if we choose a space and we get our people together, there's some amazing things that we can do. I love it. Getting active in the community. I love to hear it. One and only Misha. What we doing? You go message me what we doing, because I'm gonna follow your lead. Dancy Lisa says helping small businesses, sharing info. Let's do all of that, right? All of that is so crucial, so important. And I'm grateful for you. So we got to get at it. What I'll say again is at the end of, I want to hear from you. So if you want to reach out to the office, please do. Don't forget about the events we have coming up. We've got several this weekend. We're doing summer school for certified doers. That's where you're going to learn all the stuff and things. You can ask me all the questions, all the things, whatever it is for you, be there, ask the questions. What else? And then the week after that, we have the community sing-along at Shoe Park. So I'm going to be putting out a poll. I'm going to be putting out a poll what we're going to be singing. I need y'all to be a part of it. So community poll, summer school, dancing and singing in the park, finding your one thing to do, hitting up the office, letting us know. Remember, you cannot change the world, but you can change your corner of the world. Certified doers get more done. Please don't sue me, Home Depot. I am Jackie Glass, mama, Navy vet, certified doer and laced up legislator for the House of Delegates in 93rd District. It is truly an honor to serve. I mean this. It is truly an honor to serve, okay? I love it. David James Glass says personal use of campaign is a great bill. Let's get it started ASAP. Oh, yes. One and only Misha, come to our civic league meeting. Who's your civic league? And just give me on the calendar. I have reached out to I think every single civic league in district, and not everybody responds back. So if you could tell me your civic league day and time, and if your president and stuff is okay with me showing up, and I need to make sure it's in district. If it's not in district, then I would much rather make sure that we get with the delegate or representative that is in the district. I don't want to step on nobody's toes, but I'll let them know I'm going. Okay. Yep. Oh, Sarah, I love this. Create a meetup to get out and vote. Yes. You know what I started saying is like, I'm transitioning my the word voting to hiring, right? Are you going to be a part of hiring the city council? Are you going to be a part of hiring the delegate? Like, the only way to hire them is you got to vote. Y'all do the hiring and firing. Yep. All right. It has been a lovely day. I'll see you on Saturday. Maybe I'll see you Saturday. All right, Middletown. Yeah. But we can do something. We can do something outside of. We can do something in the community. One and only Misha. It's okay. We can do stuff in the community. Okay. So you tell me we can do a community meetup where we just talk and stuff and things with your people. You guys got a nice little park area there where the Civic League meets sometimes outside, right? Oh, and is Simeon still over there? You got to let me know. Who's still over there with y'all? All right. Or Seneca, be well. Oh, and I have doer merch. Y'all got certified doer merch. So come back some. If you love what we do and you think what we do as well, please consider contributing, putting us in your budget. There is a link in my bio to donate to our campaign, to the work that we do. It is important work. The only way that I keep a StreamYard is I have to pay for it for myself. And a lot of that has to come from my campaign account. But you know, we do this because we love doing it. Because it certainly is a pay cut. But please consider contributing to the work that we do by donating to the campaign. Everything helps, even if it's $5, $20, it all helps out and we value it. So until next time, I'm Jackie Glass. I said this already. Mama named Beth Certified Doer List of Legislature for House Devil in 9th District. Wishing you a happy Thursday. And I look to see you one of these Saturdays. Peace out, y'all.